Alright, hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Matt, Cubby. I haven't done this in a really long time, but I'm going to do a little bit of a patch rundown here for patch 5.16. So, this is a huge patch, and World's going to be played in two patches, and I bet a lot of you kind of want to know, like, what's up? It's going to be strong here, because, well, you got to always climb the ladder, so let's get into things here. So, Riot put out their big Juggernaut patch. Um, so, pretty much what they did is they reworked four champs, and all four of these champs are gonna try and what they're doing with these is they're trying to create like I think tanks that also do damage, something like that, where you can build a melee fighter and like actually try and carry the game because there really isn't a place for brawlers at the moment unless you go like I don't know unless you jungle them. I think these guys are supposed to be made or put in the top lane. So even though I think that Garen might be a jungler, I'll explain why later. But so anyway, let's get into Darius here. So Darius, they buffed his attack range, attack damage growth stat, health growth stat, armor growth stat, nerfs his attack speed, and the attack speed growth stat. Overall, this is huge for Darius. Like these are really significant buffs, and I think he's gonna get play because not only are his base stats good, but his passive's awesome now. So his passive does less damage. Um, per level, but if you get 5 stacks, then all the damage doubles, from what I understand. So, um, and you also get put. Oh no, they changed it. Okay, so you get put into Blood Rage. So if you kill an enemy champion with your ult, or you reach 5 stacks, you get Blood Rage, and you get 40 to 200 bonus attack damage, and you apply max hemorrhage stacks to enemies with basic attacks. And this is going to be really easy to do because they did nerf his Q a little bit. There's a cast time now, which I actually kind of like because Darius can be really abusive and hard to deal with in lane. So I like the direction they took here. But his Q still does a lot of damage. But they significantly buffed his W. It's a 90% slow now at all ranks. So if you pull someone in, auto Q, and get your W off, that's already 3 stacks right there, and you can easily get another 2 autos off. So if they're slowed for 90% for a second. So I really think Darius is going to be pretty strong in this patch. And also, um, while they did lower the damage a little bit on Noxie and Guillotine, it's the mana cost. It's 0 for every single time you recast it, which is really nice. So I don't know where Darius is going to fall. I don't know if he's going to be a jungler or a top laner, but his base stats are really good, and they gave him some nice quality of life changes. So I think he's going to see play competitively in this next patch. Moving on to Garen, they did something weird with Garen here. They lowered his health per level, which sucks on Garen because you gain passive armor and MR from your W, and so health is a little bit more useful on Garen because of that. So it kind of stinks that they lowered his health stat. They lowered it a lot too. That's pretty significant. But they gave him a nice AD growth stat and a little bit more armor and more attack range as well. 175 attack range, by the way, that's what. Let me look this up real quick. I think that's what Fizz has. Um, yeah, he has 175 range. Most melees have 125. I think the only exceptions are like Fizz and then Kha'Zix if you evolve Q, and also some have 150. But this is really good for top lane because you have 50 AD range like to trade with, and if it's useful on Fizz, I figure it's going to be useful on these guys as well. They lowered his silence, which is awesome. That silence is really abusive, in my opinion. And they took away the tenacity, but you can stack up armor and MR now for every single unit you kill. So each wave, so you get 5 out of 6 creeps in a wave. You're getting 1 armor and MR up to 30. So I guess that's kind of nice. Makes his early game a little bit weaker. I don't know what the old numbers were, but moving on to Judgment. They were the cooldown. They changed the base damage per tick, but the ratio per tick was also changed, and you have one less tick per cast. So I guess it's gonna tick 5 times now. But they buffed it, and so while they nerfed the damage, they gave it some other things. So if you cancel it early, it refunds the cooldown equal to the remaining duration. That's really nice because you can't auto attack during that range or like that. So like if they get to a certain point, like you can cancel it and then auto them like before they can flash out. That's really useful. It deals 33% increased damage when striking a single target. That's awesome. And I think that Garen's gonna be a jungler because you should be able to really like pretty easily clear the small creeps, and also how his ult works here against the villain, which is the enemy's like the most recent kills. You do 1% of their max health is true damage, and your ult is true damage to the villain instead of magic damage. So if like their mid laner gets a kill, then you can gank mid really easily. It's a little bit easier than using a teleport from top. Like um, you'll have more impact over the map in the jungle. And I think his clear time might be okay. So that's why I think Garen might be a jungler this patch, but we'll see. With that said, he has like no gank potential. So I don't know. I don't think Garen's gonna play. I don't like these Garen changes that much. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. But yeah. All right, moving on to Skarner. Um, decreased health, increase. That's not that big of a change. You have crystals now, so they're in set locations around the map, and they can be captured by either team by standing on top of them. If you capture one, it prevents them from being captured for 15 seconds. And while near these active crystals, Skarner gains 100% movement, 100 movement speed, 100%, yeah, no. A lot of attack speed, and restores 3% of his max mana a second. Those are like really, if you fight in one of those crystals, you're gonna be a monster. And that's like really nice too, because like how it's gonna work, it's gonna be like Scuttle Crab, and Skarner really needs movement speed to get his ult off and just to like do damage. Like he's really susceptible to kiting, so that's a pretty nice change, and like no one else in the game really gets that. So, all right, so they lower the cooldown on Q as you put, and the mana. That's really nice. And total attack damage. Okay, so you're gonna want to increase your. Oh, this is just total. Okay. Sorry, I haven't read through these yet. Um, they remove the damage ratio. So let's see. Q level 1 is gonna be doing about um 25 damage. Okay, so this should be a buff. Let's see, 120. Yeah, this is definitely a buff, especially because I lowered the cooldown and the mana. Cooldown reduction. Okay, they decreased it a bit, so that's okay. That's still good though. And it no longer increases movement speed or attack speed. Okay. This is I haven't done the math on this one yet, but it should be a buff past. It's actually a nerf for his early game, but if you put um, let's see, let's say you have 3k health, so 36, a little bit extra shield later, still kept the AP ratio. That's okay. It just means that he scales in the late game better, which is alright with Skarner. Let's see. Fraction now marks enemy champions and causes Skarner's next attack to damage and stun. That's really good. So, they did lower the slow duration, which is fine. And it decreased. Oh, you can hit multiple champions with it. It's stun for 1 second. They still have his pat. Yeah, okay. So they put his passive into this E. Okay, I like this. And if you crystallize them, okay, so crystallize them, and you gain your passive. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, Skarner got some really nice changes this patch. I like this. Skarner's a fun champ. Um, and his ult's gonna do a lot more damage. Yeah, I think Skarner's definitely gonna see play this patch. Okay, Mordekaiser, this is like, this one is nuts. So they like redid all of his base stats. I don't know what they're going for here. And they redid his shield, which is really nice because um, it's not going to decay as much. It never decays below 25%. And the max shield scales off his max health now, which is really nice. And they did lower the generation, but that's okay. I still think it's overall a buff to his shield, which is annoying to deal with in the first place. Okay, this is nuts. So this is what you gotta read right here. So if you hit the same person 3 times in a row, that's a lot of damage. The issue is that he's gonna be really susceptible to kiting. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, this ability is really confusing. So that's the max damage. So it's gonna be interesting to see like how this one works. This is the really interesting part though, is he receives full experience from any lane minion he kills. So that puts him like in bot lane. He'll get full XP if you put him in bot lane, which is really kind of broken. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see if he'll be like end up playing as an AD. And at the okay, so this also has active besides just the passive. So a target allied champ, you gain 75 movement speed while moving towards one another, and when close to one another, you both deal magic damage to nearby enemies over 4 seconds. And he doesn't split EXP. So this one's really interesting, and that could be like 2. So you could be doing 600 damage over 4 seconds because you put it on someone else. It still works the same as the other one, as W right now. So yeah, that's this one, Mordekaiser, like all 4 of these champs, it's like really kind of hard to tell um, how they're gonna be, like how strong they're gonna be, just because they're touching up their base stats so much, and they aren't really played at the moment, and it's kind of a new playstyle, so it's kind of hard for me to just be like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be strong. The only reason why I think Darius could be strong is because they've really buffed his base stats, and Skarner is gonna get a lot more just like raw gold potential, like statistics from his kit. So that's why I think those 2 are going to be played over. I don't like Garen. Garen's not going to get any play, and Mordekaiser is just too out there for me to say, oh, he's going to get play or not. So if you deal damage to Dragon, it curses it, and if you slay it, you get it. And yeah, so that's really interesting. And besides that, I believe it works the same, except they nerfed the ghost a bit. Alright, so they changed armor itemization a lot, so they just gave more armor to all the supports to kind of compensate for, I guess, being like a low-income tank. So they're going to be a bit stronger early game, and a bit weaker later just because armor is not as strong. Okay, so Ari, she's too strong once again. They just lowered her passive. That's good. You might be able to get her out of lane now. They nerfed his Alistar's headbutt. I don't like this. I think that Alistar needs to have other changes. He is way too strong. They need to... I think his ult right now, you get 50, 60, and 70% damage reduction. They need to change that to like 40, 50, 60, and he'll still get played and he'll still feel fine. This is going to make him feel clunky. I don't like that. I never like when people feel clunky. Okay, Azir, it's buggy. So they're gonna make him flow better. Okay. On top of active turrets. Okay, that's a weird bug. Closest available position. Prioritizing rows closest to his ear. So, oh, that's like if you have them behind you, like you'd have like one sand soldier, like be like, if you have like 3 out, you'd have like the lower right one heading to like the top left for some reason sometimes. And, oh, whenever you target one with E, it'll always be centered. Oh, so you can probably extend the range of Q with that then. That's really nice. Let's see. target turrets from much further range than intended. I never had that bug. Um, now collides with enemies at a distance of 150. Oh, so it's they just lowered the hitbox. That's fine. More bug fixes. Okay. Elise, current health damage lowered. Good. She's OP. I love Elise though. She's still gonna be really strong. Whoa. These are pretty significant Cassian buffs. How's he scale right now? I'm gonna look this up really quick. I believe it scales. I think it's just flat damage, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, it scales with mana. Oh, okay, so it has an. Oh, that's really good. Cassian's gonna get played now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Cassian will definitely get played. Kale took 5 AD. Okay, that's fine. She's bullshit in the jungle. It's so unfair. Lee Sin buffs, thank God. Lee Sin's gonna get played now again. This seems so small right here, but for anyone that plays Lee Sin, that is so significant because it's really easy for you to get one auto attack off after you use abilities, and you can. But the second one is sometimes really hard to get off, and so they will be like you'll be able to get more of his abilities off, which is great. LeBlanc, they increase the missile speed because they decreased it too much. She might get play now. No, if Cassin's gonna be strong, she won't get played because Cassin wrecks LeBlanc. Okay. The Sandra self-caster now heals. This is really you heal for a lot of health. I skimmed through these. I really didn't read through like all of them, but that's a lot of health. But you still want to use Lysandra. So like when she was strong, so it was in the meta where back when she was strong, I don't know, like 5-6, people were either playing Malachi top or like squishies. And it was like people were just picking Corki for mid game power spike with Lysandra, and you just fought at the 15-20 minute mark and wrecked everyone. Like every single pro team was doing that, especially because Lysandra had really favorable lane matchups against LeBlanc and Zed, who were strong at the time, and who are gonna both got buffed this patch, so we might see Lysandra again. But they did nerf her damage on Q, which was kind of significant. I think they brought it back 20, so that's not too good for Lysandra. But I don't know. This might be enough to get her back into play. I love watching Lysandra play. I think it's a really good champ. Okay, Lucian. So your second shot now always does 100% damage to minions. Just not the champions. This is really significant because now you can push lanes a lot faster. So when Lucian and Graves, when like those were the two ADs, and people were like figuring out that like Graves beats Lucian. One of the most frustrating things about Graves is that if he forces you out of lane, which he can do because his buckshot harass is really strong and he has one of the highest base ADs out of all 80 carries, he can like buckshot the wave and shove it under your tower instantly, and you have 6 minions. And there are not a lot of 80 carries who can do that. It can shove as effectively as Graves does. The only other one I can think of is like Caitlyn. And so this will help Lucian shove lanes in. So if you get ahead for whatever reason, you can punish them more in lane, which is really big for bot lane. If you get ahead in XP or just CS, but especially XP, and you also do late game, you'll have a little bit extra AD on your White Slinger, so that's really nice. And they nerfed the mana cost. It's awesome. Lucian has mana problems, and now everyone on your team can use this movement speed buff, and that's a lot of movement speed right there. It's only for 1 second, so that's like kind of a slight nerf to Lucian's kiting, but overall I'd say it's totally worth it, speeding up your whole team. Alright, 150, Q range up, whatever. NASA still won't get played. Nami, okay. This is awesome. Right there. I saw that when I read through this. I love playing Nami, and it's fantastic. And also, she's going to grant way more movement speed now. So look out for Nami Vayne. Right now, it's Janna Vayne getting a lot of play. Like, I think in China, there was 1 week where Janna Vayne was, like, undefeated over, like, 15, 16, 17 games, something like that. Or, like, it was, like, 15-0 or, like, 15-1 or something just ridiculous. Look out for Nami Vayne, because that lane is incredibly oppressive. Alright, they buffed Rammus. I could care less. This is a big nerf to Rumble. We aren't going to see Rumble played anymore. And they nerfed the range of Equalizer by 150. That's what that means. So that's pretty big. I highly doubt we will see Rumble now, because that ult is, you can punish that window a lot. Okay, Tom Kench, TK. Enemies regurgitate are now stunned for 0.25 seconds. Can I just say that Tom, this Devour thing, does like 500 magic damage. Even if you have like 75 MR, once he maxes it. Like, it is ridiculous how much damage it does. And I think the TK will be a pick at Worlds. He's kind of hidden OP, because if you get ahead too, you can win the game so fast with his ultimate. Like, it doesn't matter if you're playing him top or jungle. I think that this champ's bullshit. He's really annoying to play against, and we're going to see him played. Teemo, I don't really care. Enemies poisoned are now revealed, and slow doesn't decay anymore. I don't play Teemo. I don't play against him, whatever. Okay, Twitch. I really hope we see Twitch at Worlds, because I love watching Twitch games. These aren't very significant buffs, but Twitch is already getting... he's already getting a little bit of play here and there. Imp's playing him, because... Oh, sorry. Imp's a Twitch god. And I think that we might see Twitch here. I would not be surprised if this weekend Doublelift or Turtle plays Twitch in the NA finals, because both those guys have played Twitch in the past. Doublelift's really good at Twitch, and I bet he's gonna get played even without these buffs. So, all right, Victor, what did you do to this guy? So they took away his AP by a lot, and they gave him mana per level. So, oh, he's gonna have more AP late game. Okay, so late game Victor is still good. Level 10 breakpoint. Less mana in lane. Okay, so this is a nerf, just a little bit. Late game Victor's still gonna be really good, but it's a nerf a little bit to his early game. I don't know if he's still gonna be able to clear waves at... Yeah, he will not be able to clear waves level 7 anymore with that change, I don't think, with the AP. Which is awesome, because that's so oppressive. Okay, so Victor's nerfed a bit. He still has really favorable matchups, though. He's so hard to lane against, if you play against good Victor. Reactivation time is down. Secondary shot range. Oh, okay. Cool. Vel'Koz buffs, whatever. We don't see them. Okay, cool. So when you pop, it's like a little AoE. Okay, so another proc damage from Volibear, so I don't think we're going to see him. Alright, we're going to see Zac. This right here, another 250 range on this already just oppressive beast. Oh my god, the engages from the Fog of War. I am so excited. Alright, we're going to see Zac for sure. And also we might see... So here's the issue with Zed. First off, the reactivation time. What this did is there were some matchups where Zed could outplay people. So one of my favorite ones when I played Zed was Zed versus Cassiopeia. You could dodge Cass's ultimate unless she timed it. There's not many not many Cassiopeia players will time that ultimate well enough to get you like right when you spawn and you like from your ult and you land behind them. So what you could do as well is you could ult, go back to your original shadow, and then use your W shadow to get in, like back in, and you could go back to your original one to dodge your ult. That was like a really easy way to win that matchup. And so they put in this 1 second until you can reactivate it to like try and prevent like these just ridiculous assassin plays, which I don't like because I said this earlier. Like I want every champ to feel extremely fluid. I hate cast times. I hate like slow movement speed champs. Like I want the game to be fast and skill based. But they put this in because they were really frustrated with Zed just like shadowing in and like almost like going out. It's almost like a free Zonia's if you think about it. Because like Zonia's is used because you have a lot of abilities coming your way and you want to dodge the damage. Well, Zed was using his shadow as like a Zonia's, where like you just get out of the fight and you don't take any of that damage, and you still get to go back in. So they lowered it. So hopefully he'll be able to team fight now. But he's still gonna be weak in lane. Like Ari will still crap all over Zed. Um, who else is good? Yeah, Zed's such an impressive laner. The other issue with Zed is that QSS was cheaper starting in Season 5, and games are going long enough now where you just don't become as useful, and if you can't close the game out by the 35-minute mark, you're up against like a 4-item enemy Azir, and you can get pooped on from that. So that's why Zed's not too great right now. I hope he comes back. We might see some more assassin play now. I don't know. They gave him some decent tweaks. I really enjoy mage play. I think control mages are fun. I'd rather see. I want to see a mix. So the dream is that like a bunch of champs are viable, kind of like in Dota 2, where there's a meta and then there's like a counter meta. And I feel like Dota 2, a lot more champs are viable because there's a counter pick like for like even like the cheese picks that like people know about there. So I don't know, and I feel like because how their meta works, like they can go 3 people aggressive lanes or have junglers or go like 2-1-2. Like it's a lot. You can change it up like every game, so I feel like that's why they have more champs viable. But whatever, that's like my little rant. All right, so Juggernaut items. So this is gonna give health, a good chunk of health. It's quite a bit of health. 50 armor, and it's going to help you move faster and stick to them because you deal 1 bonus physical damage for every 2 momentums. If 100 stacks are discharged, it's doubled, so that's 100. And if it's melee, it's those for 75%. So like picture that on Darius, like him like charging at you. That's really, really, really strong. Um, so yeah, I don't know. So anyway, going on to Strength Gauge. Alright, I haven't seen this one. This one's really interesting. So, base attack damage. So, Darius. Champs that have really high base attack damage, like Jax, Darius, Riven, it's going to be really good. And I feel like... Sorry, I'm kind of reading through this item. Whoa. Oh, okay, so this is like for Juggernaut. This is going to be good on, who's this going to be good on? I don't know. It's cheap, too. Holy cow. 500 health. Let's see, 100. That passive is pretty strong. It's hard to proc it, though. It's not gold efficient. Yeah, this item's not going to get a lot of play. Okay, so Giant's Belt grants I'm gonna check myself here before I wreck myself. I think it grants okay, yeah, 380 health for 1,000 gold, right? So for let's just call it 1,400. So 1,150 gold. They're getting put into this bonus base attack damage increase, which is 25%. So late game, that's gonna be about, I don't know, 30, because it's your base AD. So let's say an extra 30 AD, which is 3 long swords, 900. So it's inefficient at about 80, 90%. Primal Rage, but you gotta proc this for 8 seconds. Yeah, no, this item's not gonna get play. Alright, they need to they need to give it a little bit of flat AD too. Alright, Titanic Hydra. So it's Ravenous Hydra, except it has health. Everyone's gonna build this now. Like, I would much rather, sorry, I gotta check this again. I don't have, I have game knowledge, but I need to cheat a bit. So, oh no, okay, you lose 25 AD for 12% lifesteal. Okay, a lot of people are gonna build this though. Like Renekton's so gonna build this because you want to shove the lane and you get health, which is awesome. Like Darius is gonna build this. It's gonna be really good. And okay, so 400 health, 100 health regain, AD. Let's see, 360 times 5, 1800. 20. Yeah, okay, this is kind of gold efficient, but then you get the passive, which is really nice. Base stats deal 5 plus 1% of your max health to your primary target. And that much as a cone, so you get a little bit AoE. And then the active is that it increases it for your next basic attack. And it's a 20-second cooldown. That's okay, though. If you're doing a part of your max health as damage, I cannot wait to build this on Renekton. This is going to be on... Renekton will probably see play if this item's as strong as I think it is. Because now he can just mercilessly shove waves, and this is a lot more of an efficient build path on him. Warlogs, this is a really interesting change. They buffed stuff cost a bit. They gave it a base health regain, which is awesome, but now when you have over 3k health, it's like that is insane health restore. 3% per second. Like you are 100% healed in 30 seconds if you're out of combat for 8 seconds. That's awesome. Okay. So I'm just going to scroll through this really fast. Overall, they're making MR cheaper and stronger. So they're getting an extra 5 MR to all MR items. Except they're taking 5 away from Aegis, which I love because Aegis is way too strong. And the fact that they made it cheaper is bullshit. But they're also taking away the health regain aura. And they're making Locket Shield stronger, but lasts shorter. So here is my thought about what the meta will be for 5.16. And I'll run through everything else real quick, I guess, before I give this. Banner Command's a little bit stronger, a lot stronger now. But they nerfed the Magic Resist aura, which is great. Because what that does is it forces everyone on your team to get more Magic Resist, and even though they buffed everything by 5, it's still like it hurts your ADs for not having an MR item. Like the AD carry will have 5% less MR, which is great. Because you want to, assassinate him, and it creates more play and counterplay. And they can still build Banshees and have the same amount, which is fine. And they made, okay, so going on to armor, they made armor more expensive and weaker. Except, additionally deals, it reflects less damage back, but scales with armor more. So if you stack this with the Frozen Heart, you're going to deal more damage back. And this reduces crit strike chance by 10%, which sucks. So, overall this patch, let's see, AD carries are going to be stronger early, weaker later, which is fine. That's okay, because you want them to have more of a role in the early game and not be like the most important player in the late game. I don't know, that's just me. Because AD's early game, like it doesn't matter if you're playing with Forgiven or fucking like Vardogs until I don't know, like the first team fight. If you're just gonna lane swap, like it's not a big difference. So I think that this patch, we're gonna see some more Jace and Varus play. Probably a lot more Varus because they decrease the health regain. Armor's weaker, and Almar is a bit more expensive. And so sieging is going to be a lot stronger now because you won't have the locket health regained to all nearby units, which is actually significant. And I'm kind of glad they took out that health regain because I don't know. I think health regain's good, but I think that sieging should be rewarded if you build a siege comp. On top of that, since assassins are back, that's why I think we're gonna see more Jace because like Varus will someone will pick LeBlanc and Varus and get a gank level 3, and then LeBlanc will just like run rampant on that Varus for the rest of the game. And Jace can deal really well with a lot of the mid laners at the moment, especially Zed, LeBlanc. If you can just take Exhaust and you do really well in those matchups. And on top of that, he's okay against Victor. Like the only one that really wrecks Jace is Ahri. Ahri's really good against Jace. Because his Ahri, little tip, when Jace, if Jace ever all-ins you, and he goes to Q, like switches to hammer form and Q, where he jumps into you, you can just shoot your charm at him, you can cancel the damage and kite it out. And yeah, you can also dodge Shock Blast with your ult, so that's why Ahri's really good there. But yeah, I think that Jace and Varus see a lot more play. And in the bot lane, we're going to no more Corki, because all this is better. It'll be if you want a mid-game AD carry, we're probably going to see Kog'Maw now, and probably Ezreal. Kog'Maw and Vayne are already two most picked in China at the moment, and Lucian's coming back as well. Okay, and so overall, I want to see Darius. I think he's going to be really strong. I'm interested to see what happens with the mid lane meta. I think that the jungle meta will still be the same, and I'd still ban out the Shyvana Kayle, all that garbage Elise for solo queue. And we'll see what happens with everything else. Nami's going to get more play, but it's still going to be Janna. I don't know. There are so many changes in this patch. I'll be really interested to see how the game plays after this, and like especially like Mordekaiser, like how these juggernauts are going to do. So anyway, that's it. That's my patch 5.16 rundown. Sorry if I'm a bit rusty. Haven't done this in a while, and I really just glanced through the patch notes before doing this. So it was pretty much my first time reading through this. I hope this helped. If you like what you see, I do more videos on this channel, and I will now that the school year is starting up again. This is Cubby, and hope you enjoyed, and bye.